Hi everyone, it's Tammy and we are going to make a card using this Sprinkles of Life stamp pad or stamp set that is on the very last page of the catalog. It is on the very last page and it is called Sprinkles of Life, and $3 from every purchase of this goes towards the Ronald McDonald House, so that's pretty cool. And I thought that we would do a card very similar to this and make it every cloud has a silver lining, just to let people know that, you know, you're thinking of them and that you are on their side. And I just remembered that I forgot to bring over my designer series paper. Hold on just a second. All right, we are going to use a piece of designer series paper from the Sweet Little Things pack. It has little clouds on it in blue, and I thought that was really pretty. And we're going to match that with Tempting Turquoise, which I thought was a cute match and worked pretty well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And just so you know, there's people playing outside, so if you hear something, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood and the kids are out. So, you know, good for them. We're going to use a piece of Whisper White cardstock as the base, and all I did was cut an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper in half at 5.5, and then we score it at 4 1/4 so that it folds into an A2 size. And then I'm also going to need a piece for the front that's going to be a little smaller than the designer series paper. So I'm going to cut the designer series paper at 4 by 5 1/4. And that will make it so that you have a little trim of white around where the designer series paper is. And then we will put our clouds on here, and we're going to use this piece of cardstock to actually put the clouds on. I was kind of thinking I'd do raindrops too, so maybe I'll put, you know what, I think I'm going to cut a piece of this. Let's see, it should be 4 1/4, no, 5.5. So I'm going to, let's see, I think I'll do, I want it to be about maybe 3 inches. Let's go 3.5 and see how that looks. I'd rather it be too big than too small. 3.5, and then I'll cut a 1/2 inch off of this, so that would make it by 5. And then if I put this in the middle of that, I just want to be able to see a good portion of this cloud designer series paper because I really like it. Okay, I'm going to cut another 1/2 inch off of each side. And so I will tell you what these dimensions are. I'm making it 4.5 by 3. And then that will go here, and that gives me a nice frame of the designer series paper around the edges, and I like that. I think I'm finished with my cutter, but I am going to need my embossing powder, and well, I'll put that down in a second. To do embossing, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but it's really fun to do. And you need embossing powder, which Stampin' Up! Has silver embossing powder. That's what this is. And then you need a Versamark or something similar to this, a glue pad. Stampin' Up! Also sells the Versamark, and this is fabulous when you're doing embossing. You also need a heat gun, and this is an embossing tool. This is by Stampin' Up! I don't know if it has an actual brand other than Stampin' Up!, but it's just a heat tool, not just a. It's a wonderful piece of machinery. Has 2 heat settings. It's kind of loud, but not too bad, and it's kind of like a hairdryer on steroids. You wouldn't want to use that to dry your hair, by the way. And you wouldn't want to use a hairdryer to do embossing. I'm also going to use my Stampin' Scrub, which is fabulous to clean my stamps, with my Stampin' Mist to clean that too. So I'm just trying to show you all of the wonderful things, not all of, but some of the wonderful things that Stampin' Up! Has that you could easily piece together, like in multiple purchases or whatever, or make one huge big purchase and it would be fabulous, whatever you want to do. So the first thing we're going to do, I need to get a little better at making instructions. I don't know how it works best for me, but we'll figure it out. We are going to take the cloud out of this set, and we're going to take the raindrops out of this set, and we're going to take the every cloud has a silver lining, you just have to look up to see it. And I'm going to send this card to my brother because he could use some encouragement right now. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put a piece of scrap paper under my workstation, and this will work just fine. It's just an old envelope that I had something in, and I'm going to take my Versamark and I'm going to use my stamp, and I'm going to stamp this on several times, and then I'm also going to take this piece that actually is part of the card, this is the middle piece, and I'm going to stamp the raindrops directly onto this, and then I'm also going to stamp onto that little piece of blue paper the saying. So we're going to do a little bit of stamping and then we'll do the heat embossing. So first things first, you just ink that up. You won't be able to see it, it's clear, and then stamp it on and lift it straight up. This is kind of sticky, so you might want to hold it down. And I'm not going to get too close together, but not too far apart, because I'm going to use a stamp or a punch to punch out these clouds, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. I need at least 3, I'd say. I might even do one directly on this as well. I think I will. I think I'll do the middle one directly on this. Right about there. And then I'm going to remove this stamp, and I'm just going to put it on top of my Stampin' scrub so I know that I need to clean that. I'm going to take the raindrops and put them on. And I'm going to put those just randomly all over the bottom half, or the bottom 2/3. Some of them are going off the page, and that is okay. Kind of makes it look more real if you have some going off the page. Okay, so I know you can't see that, but I promise that it's there. I don't know if you can pick that up or not. And then I'm also going to stamp on this the saying. And I'm going to put it about right here. And I made my piece extra long so that in case this didn't stick well or whatever, I could go further down, or I could turn it over and use the other side. But that looks pretty good. It doesn't look really straight. Maybe I'll try it one more time and see if I can get it a little straighter. I think that might be all right. We'll check that out. So I'm going to go ahead and cover this Versamark up. I'm going to put this over with the others, and then I'm going to take my silver embossing powder and open it up, and I'm going to messingly put this all over where I have used the Versamark, and it does not have to be pretty. And one thing that I didn't do that I should have done was we have an embossing buddy that will if you rub it over the area that you're going to emboss, it'll help the little pieces of embossing powder not stick to the parts of the paper you don't want it to stick to. I do not have one of those, but I do have something similar, and it's this, and I just always forget to use it. So I didn't use it this time either. I don't know. I just don't remember to do it. But you can see how some of it got up here, and it shouldn't. If you use the embossing powder, it won't, or the embossing buddy, it won't do that. But I wouldn't know because I never remember to use it. So I always struggle with making sure that I have it all off. And if you try to rub it off sometimes with your finger, you'll get too much, and it's just crazy. So do what I say, not what I do. I'll put that to the side, and you don't want to touch it while it's not dry. Now hopefully I didn't let this get too dry. Hopefully it will still stick. We shall see. Oh yeah, it did a fine job. See how the cloud like kind of pops out now? It's wonderful. I think this is magical. This was one of the very first things that I saw when I started stamping, and I loved it. If only I had stuck with stamping, well, I have stuck with it. If I had gotten involved with Stampin' Up, it was before Stampin' Up even probably became a company. I need to find out when we started, because it was probably 1993 that I went to the mall in Louisville, Kentucky, and there was a stamping store, and this woman was so excited about stamping, and she was offering people to come in and she would show them stuff because it was brand new. Nobody had really ever heard of it or done it, and I thought, oh, this looks so cool. And that was the very first time I saw anyone do heat embossing, and I bought some markers, I bought some stamps, I bought a heat emboss tool, which I still own. I just bought all sorts of things because I knew that I would love it, and I did, and I did it for several, well, I used that stuff up a lot. I mean, I used a lot of it. I didn't use it up, I guess, but I really enjoyed it. And had I gotten started with something then, I really wish I would have. And my cat is coming around, so I'm trying to make sure that he does not step on this stuff, because if you touch it, if you touch where the embossing powder is, it will come off. And then you're kind of sunk because you'd have to stick it exactly in the same spot again. But see how like that's kind of a blob? I don't like that. And if I had used the embossing buddy, it would not have done that. So, okay, so now what you can do, you think, oh gosh, it's empty. What do? You simply take this and pour it back into your container. Sorry, I'm not speaking well because my cat's over here and I'm trying not to make sure that he gets into anything. So I'm putting this on the bottom to help catch it because I should have used a bigger piece of paper. And then I'm just going to slowly pour it back into my container. And this stuff, if you can tell, lasts forever because you don't really use very much. Even though it looks like you use a lot, you don't. Ta-da! So now I can put this back in my trash container, and I'm going to cover this up before I spill it. I label the top of them, that way when I store them I can look down and see what colors I have. And let's see. Now I'm going to take my heat emboss tool and I am going to turn it on, and I'm going to gently rub this, or not rub it, move it around. Do not touch the paper. I'm going above it and I'm kind of pointing directly on it, and you will see this. It's like the embossing powder is like a little bit of plastic. You'll see it start melting, and it's really cool. Just watch. Can you see how it changes colors? When it's melting, it changes. You can like watch it melt. It's so neat. No wonder I liked this when I first saw it. I still love it. Now this does get really hot. And you want to make sure that you don't hold it in one area for too long because it will burn the page. And you want to make sure you keep your fingers out of the way. So there's the difference. I guess I should show you that. There's the difference of one that's embossed, or one that's been heated, and one that's not. So isn't that cool? There, I kind of did that cloud half and half. I just love this stuff. I think it's so cool. Ah. Okay, that's it. So isn't that lovely? I love how it works. Okay, so now I'm going to take this piece of Tempting Turquoise, or piece of Whisper White, and I already have a cloud that I have fussy cut, and I'm going to put it on here temporarily with a little bit of removable tape, if I can find some. If I can't, I'll use a Post-it. I think I'll use a Post-it because I know I have several of those handy. So I'm going to do a Post-it, and I'm going to put it at the bottom first. And then I'll move it to the top. And we're going to take our Tempting Turquoise stamp pad and open that up. And then we're going to take one of our sponges, and we just need a little bit of a sponge. So I'm going to do something very weird probably and cut this in half. And then I'm going to cut this in half. And then I'm going to cut this in half. So I get a little sandwich, or a little piece of the pie. And I have all of this left over for other colors. And lots of people will put a binder clip onto this. So that you can remember what color it is. You can store it with that color, or you can do whatever, and it kind of gives you something to hold so that your fingers won't get all inky. And then you ink it up. And then you can go in and color. And I am coloring the sky, but I don't want the cloud to be colored blue. I just want the sky around it to be colored blue. And I want it to get lighter as we go further down. And I don't even have a protector on here, which I should. Dingbat. So once I've gotten the top of it, I'm going to just move my Post-it note over to this side. And kind of hold it down with my finger too. And then I'm just going to get lighter and lighter with my hand going down this page. And where it's heat embossed, where the embossing powder is, it is resistant to color. So you can do some really cool things with that. So there. Now I'm going to remove my cloud and see that. Voila. Isn't that awesome? I love that. So now I'm going to put that back in there just so I can keep it handy. I love this stamp set. Did you see all the fun things you can do? Ice cream cones, cupcakes, piles of flowers, piles of leaves, regular flowers, trees. I mean, it's just the possibilities. A little bush are endless. There's just tons of things. Money can't buy happiness, but it can buy cupcakes, and that's kind of the same thing. I love that. That's cute. Okay, so then if you take the tree builder punch, which will actually punch out a tree, you can put it on here, and it will punch out the cloud perfectly. Isn't that the neatest thing? And then it cuts it upside down, so I'm going to need to cut these off so that I can stick it down in here and line it up and cut out those little trees. Happy little trees, or happy little clouds. Do the same thing to this side. And then all these punches are so nice because they store flat. Even though they can be wide, you just move this little thing back and forth to lock them down. So they store nice and flat, which is handy dandy. And then this is extra. And I probably have an extra cloud now that I went ahead and put one right on the paper, but that's okay. So then this is just all trash. What did I lock that? There we go. So now we can start putting the card together, which is going to be fun. So let's see, which one of these do I like better? They're both kind of crooked now that I'm looking at them. They both kind of slant downward. I think I'll leave one of them in the thing so I can use it another time if I want. And you know what? I think I'm just going to try to straighten this up a bit with my cutter because I am a little anal. Let's see what I can do here. My brother will probably never notice. I don't know if I helped that or hurt it. Looks like I need to take a little bit more off. Okay, now I'm going to stop because if I don't, I will certainly make it worse. I may have already done that, but we'll see. Yeah, I screwed that one up. So I was taking too much off the top. So it's good that I made two. And I think I'm just going to leave it because otherwise I will make it worse again. So I'm just going to cut this at the end. And then I'm going to cut it in the middle about 1/4 of an inch up, maybe a little more, maybe a 1/2 inch. And then I'm going to take the corners and cut it to that point at the top. And that is an easy way to make a page flag. So now let's put our card together. I'm going to use our snail. Oh, and the other side has fox on it. Oh, how cute. And I'm just going to put this down in the middle so there's a little border everywhere. And then I'm going to use our snail again and put this one down. Also in the middle of that one so it has a nice border around it. And then I'm going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals and put these clouds on here. I think 2 ought to do it. I'll start with 2 clouds, and then if we need the third, we'll put the third on. And I'm just putting him over a little bit just because I think that's cool. And then this one, I'll do the same thing, just not as high. I'll put him there. And I think 3 clouds is actually perfect. I think that's really cute. And then I'm going to put this like right here, and I'm going to also do dimensionals for this one. I think I'm going to use 3 of them. Sometimes, especially with a long piece, you need one in the middle to help keep it up. Otherwise, it will fall flat onto the page sometimes, especially if you're mailing it. And I want to be able to see all of that, and I want this to go to the end, so that's about where I want it. And there we go. So I hope that you enjoy this card. I hope that it's something that you might recreate. Again, if you sign up in March to either be a demonstrator or to be a hobbyist or to purchase something, if every $50 you spend, you can get a free item from the Celebration catalog, and there's some really cute things in there. I didn't use anything on this catalog. This is from the annual catalog. All of this is found in the annual catalog. But they have some really cute stamp sets that you can get for free just for spending $50. And you can shop 24/7 at my shop, TT.Scraps at stampinup.net. And that email is down below. And then also, or that website is down below. And also, if you're interested in possibly becoming a demonstrator, even if you just want to do it because you want the discount, now is the time to do it, because for every $100, well, for $100 you get the kit, but you get to pick out $150 worth of stuff. So you automatically get $50 in free stuff just by signing up. And then it's really cool to be able to see your discount in action. I've already made 2 purchases outside of the purchase that I initially started, and both times I have been surprised at my cost because it's a lot lower than I expect it to be. And you get to use these great high quality products that I really truly love. Otherwise I wouldn't do this. So if you've thought about it, if you're interested, let me know. Now is the time. So I was going to wait until Katie went to college, but I couldn't pass up this deal. It was awesome. So thanks very much for watching. I hope that you find something creative to do today if that's your thing. And if I can help you in any way, just let me know. Thank you so much. Have a great day.